Morning children. Today we are going to study the next part of chapter 8, Evidences and Theories of Biological Evolution. So before we start the next part, I want to connect you with the previous part which we have studied in the previous period, that is the Darwinism, that is a theory of natural selection. So what is natural selection? As you know that in the struggle for existence, only those individuals survive which adapt themselves according to the surroundings, or we can say which are the fittest for the competitive environment. So the organisms, those who are able to adapt themselves, will survive. So nature selects and gives a chance to survive only to those individuals which are the fittest, and others are discarded by nature and vanish. This is called as the natural selection. And Darwin here uh, provided some of the that examples through which he proved that how natural selection works or helps in the evolution. So what was the Darwin's view about the giraffe's neck? So ancestors of giraffe had both the necks, like the ancestors of the giraffe had a smaller neck also and the longer neck also. But when the surface vegetation was finished, at that time what happened? So when the surface vegetation was finished, then those giraffes with the longer necks got more food. So we can see here that the giraffes with the longer neck, they could reach to the leaves of the tree and received the food. So they were better able to survive and also able to reproduce. As they reproduced, they were able to pass on the long neck genes to their offsprings. In other case, the giraffes with the shorter neck could not reach to the vegetation, could not get the food, hence they died, and further their genes also were not transmitted to the next generation. So over time, giraffes evolved the longer necks. So this was that one example of the natural selection. Some other examples of the natural selection also we will study, which favors this Darwinism. So some other examples are there. The industrial melanism. This industrial melanism is actually based on the study of the papered moth. Papered moth is a kind of moth. Moth is a insect. So this papered moth, whose scientific name is Biston betullaria, with a dull grey color, was abundantly present in England before Industrial Revolution. So in a collection of moths made in 1850s before industrialization in England, it was observed that there were more white winged or dull grey, means light colored moths. They were more on trees than the dark winged or melanized moths, and these moths, they rest on the trunk trees. So black colored moths were less, they were rare, but these white winged or the dull grey winged moths were more. Now before industrial revolution, this dull grey colored moth easily blended with the grey background of the tree trunks, but the black moths were easily visible to the predators on this background. So that was the reason for the more number of these white winged moths. Now what happened during industrial revolution? Here large scale burning of coal became common, and the smoke so produced by burning of coal, here it got deposited on the tree trunks. So tree trunks became blackish in appearance because of the deposition of smoke on them, and in such conditions the grey moth now became more conspicuous because the tree trunk became black and the moth were light colored. So the grey moth now became more conspicuous and visible to predators on the black background. So what happened? In the collection carried out from the same area after industrialization, that is in 1920, there were more dark colored that moths were there, dark winged moths were there in the same area, that is the proportion was reversed before the industrialization. So this was explained that the predators will spot a moth against a contrasting background. Easily predators could caught the white colored moth on the dark colored tree trunk. Now during post industrialization period, the tree trunk became dark due to industrial smoke and soot, and under this condition this white winged moth, they did not survive due to predators, and dark winged or melanized moth survived. And this phenomenon, that is camouflage, everywhere you see camouflage is the phenomenon where the body color of an organism, it blends with the surroundings. So this is known as a camouflage. Now the obtained study was compared with the areas where industrialization did not occur, that is in rural area. The count of melanic moth, this melanic moth was low, because melanic moth were less in the rural area because there were no impact of the industrialization. So what was concluded? It was concluded that in a mixed population, individuals that are better adapted can survive and reproduce in large numbers and increase their population size, and no variant was completely wiped out. So you can understand here that this is the lichen covered trunk, that is light in color, but here the black color moth, it was easily captured or caught by the predators before industrial revolution, so their number was less. Now what happened after industrial revolution? When the tree trunk was deposited by the smoke and soot, it has changed into dark color. So on this dark color, these light colored moths were easily identified and caught by the predators, so they could not survive. So understood, children? This is the example of the industrial melanism. Now the next example we will study, that is resistance to chemical. Here we will study the two examples. Two examples are there: resistance in mosquito for pesticide, that is for DDT, and antibiotic resistance in bacteria. So use of pesticides, insecticides, these all are the chemicals, has resulted in the resistant variety of organism in less time. For example, DDT resistance in mosquitoes. So what happened in this DDT resistance in mosquito? So when DDT was first introduced as a pesticide to control the mosquitoes, it was tremendously successful. So to kill the mosquitoes, the use of DDT was successful at the first time, but now it has become completely ineffective, because after many years the use of the DDT has become incompletely ineffective. Why? Because in the original population of the mosquitoes, a small number of mosquitoes were already resistant to DDT. So when the DDT was initially used, only DDT sensitive mosquitoes were killed, but DDT resistant remained unaffected. So some of the mosquitoes, those who were DDT resistant, they were unaffected, and these small number of DDT resistant mosquitoes, they became larger with the time, because after many years what happened, this small population of DDT resistant mosquito, it became larger with the time, and therefore almost all the mosquitoes now are DDT resistant. So the principle of natural selection thus helps us to understand why chemical insecticides remain useful only for a short period of time. So here we will see that next example we are going to study, that the resistance of antibiotics. So antibiotic resistance in bacteria, it is true for the microbes also. Many antibiotic resistant variety of disease causing bacteria are appearing in a very short period. So if an antibiotic is used for the first time, most of the bacteria are killed because they are sensitive to that antibiotic. However, some of the bacteria may survive as they have a gene which provides them resistance against the particular antibiotic. Some, they may survive. So these bacteria, those who survive, they continue to reproduce inside the patient's body. In this way, Now even the descendants of these bacteria become resistant to that particular antibiotic. So this is an example of natural selection due to adaptations, and these are the examples of evolution due to anthropogenic actions, that is produced by the man. So this shows that evolution is not a direct process but a stochastic process, means a chance or a probability that is based on the chance events in nature and mutation in the organisms. Now the next that example that we have studied already, adaptive radiation, that is also an example of the natural selection. So here I will revise it because I explained you this adaptive radiation in detail in the previous part also. So what is adaptive radiation? The process in which an ancestral stock gives rise to new species in a given geographical area, starting from a point and literally radiating to the other geographical area or habitat. Example 1 is Darwin's finches. So what were these finches? They were the birds. These were small black birds which Darwin observed in the Galapagos Islands, and there were many varieties in the same island. So he observed many varieties of these birds in the same islands. So he reasoned that after originating from a common ancestral seed eating stock, so common ancestor was seed eating, the finches must have radiated to the different geographical area in the islands and undergone adaptive changes, especially in the type of beak. So the type of food which was available in the different geographical area, according to that there was change in the type of beak, means that is a type of adaptation, that was the adaptation, due to that the type of beak was changed. Living in isolation for long, the new kinds of finches emerged that could function and survive in the new habitat. These are some example. Large ground finch, you can see the color of the body as well as the shape and size of the beaks. So large ground finch means seed eating finch. Here vegetarian finch eating the that part of plants, and cactus ground finch, that is eating the cactus fruits and the flowers, and you can see the shape and size of the beak here different from this one. And the woodpecker finch, that is eating the insects. So here also the body color and the shape and size of the beak is developed accordingly the food habit. Understood? Now another example of the adaptive radiation is the Australian marsupials. Australian marsupials, they are the number of marsupials. Marsupials, what are these? They are pouched animals, means they carry their young ones in the pouch like structure in their body. So they are pouched mammals, each different from the other, evolved from an ancestral stock within Australia. So they evolved in from the animals they are found in the Australia itself. So when more than one adaptive radiation appeared to have occurred in an isolated geographical area with a different habitat, it can be called as convergent evolution also, that we have studied already, convergent evolution. Now placental mammals of Australia show parallel evolution also, as they have evolved from other marsupial mammals, each of which closely resembles and looks similar to the corresponding marsupial. So they show the parallel evolution also. So these are the that example of the adaptive radiation. So now here you will see the examples of the parallel evolution of Australian marsupials and placental mammals. means these are the placental mammals from which this Australian marsupials they are developed. Understood? So like the marsupial mole, it is evolved from the mole which is a placental mammal. Many are there like Tasmanian tiger cat, that is evolved from the bobcat. Wolf, from that the Tasmanian wolf, it is evolved. So these are the example of the adaptive radiations. So these marsupial mammals of the Australian region, they show good example of adaptive radiation. Like today many species of marsupial they exist, like all these marsupial moles, mouse, kangaroo, Tasmanian wolf, bended anteater is also there. So all these marsupials have evolved from the same ancestral stock in the Australian landmass only. So they are the example of adaptive radiation, as well as they show the parallel evolution also. Is two evolution here. Adaptive radiation, one point we understood, and parallel evolution also, because they have evolved from other marsupial mammals itself. Means placental mammal of Australia, they show parallel evolution as they have evolved from other marsupial mammals only. So these two types of evolution we have studied. Now the criticism of Darwinism. So here we will see the criticism of Darwinism. Yes, some of the scientists they criticized the Darwin's theory of natural selection, like Owen and Sedgwick. According to them, what were the objections? Inheritance of small variations. Darwin stressed more upon the inheritance of small fluctuating variations, which in fact are non-inheritable and have no role in the evolution. Then somatic and germinal variation. So somatic means the variations taking place in the body, only body organs, and germinal which is taking place in the germ cells. So Darwin was unable to differentiate between this somatic and this germinal variations, and he considered that all useful variations are heritable while somatic variations are not heritable. Understood? So he was not able to differentiate between these variations. Then use and disuse of organs. Darwin also not able to explain the effect of use and disuse of the organs. Then the origin of the fittest. Darwinism stresses only on the fittest that we have studied till now. So Darwin stresses only on the survival of the fittest and considers that unfit and the fittest are together present initially. With the environment change, unfit get vanished and only the fittest survive. The theory does not say anything about the origin and the arrival of the fittest. So that cause of this, or the process or the mechanism about the origin and arrival of the fittest, was not known to the Darwin. Over specialization of the some characters, like some characters such as tusk of elephant. Understood children? जो हाथी का दांत होता है, tusk of elephant, and antlers of deer. They have developed so much that instead of being useful, they provide hindrance to the possessor. Means they provide means they create problem for these animals. So the theory does not explain this over specialization of these features. Now next is the degeneration of the some characters. Degeneration means Darwinism also does not explain the reduction and degeneration of some characters. For example, ear pinna of elephant is very large, but it is reduced in the man. So there was no explanation for this. And further, Darwin considered that the individuals as the unit of natural selection, but according to modern biologists, population is the unit of evolution. So these are many points of criticism of Darwinism. Now we will study the next point, variations. What are variations? No two organisms are exactly identical. Yes, no two organisms are exactly similar. They have certain remarkable differences. Definitely differences are found in the organisms, and these differences are called the variations. You have studied about the variation in the 10th class also. Variations include all changes in morphological, physiological and behavioral characteristics. And on the basis of heritable nature, variations are of two types. So let me study the variations. That a process whereby closely related organisms come to differ amongst themselves. The two types of variations are somatic variations. These variations causes local change in the constitution or on the constitution of the organisms, means their change in the body organs on the body parts, and they are known heritable, means these are not transmitted from one generation to the next, and these are confined only up to a particular organisms and lost with the death of that organism also. So these are insignificant from the evolutionary point of view because they are known heritable. Now next type is the germinal or blastogenic or genetic variation. So these variations are produced due to change in the germ plasm and are inheritable. Inheritable means these are transmitted from one generation to the next because they occur or they produce due to changes in the germ plasm of the organism. Germ plasm is there, that is the genetic material present in the germ cells. So these are inheritable variations, and only these variations are significant. Why? Because they are inheritable. They are transmitted from one generation to the next. So only these variations are significant from the evolutionary point of view. So students, we will see the causes or the sources of variations. So the first source of variation is mutation. Mutation is made from Greek word mutaire. Mutaire means to change. So any heritable change in the genetic makeup of the organism is called the mutation. You have studied already mutation in the genetics chapter in detail. So what is mutation? That's sudden heritable change in the genetic makeup of the organisms. Now the factors causing mutation, they are known as the mutagens or mutagenic agents. And first scientific study of mutation was carried by T.H. Morgan in 1910. Mutation theories was proposed by De Vries, that we will study in the next lecture. So the mutation is the reason for the evolution or source of evolution. Next is gene recombination and hybridization. That this gene recombination is taking place in the sexually reproducing organisms. What happened? In all sexually reproducing organism during gametogenesis, that is the formation of gametes, crossing over results in new gene combination. The process of crossing over you have studied in detail, where the genetic exchange takes place in the homologous pairs in the germ cells during meiosis. So crossing over results in the new gene combination, that is known as the gene recombination. Further, the random union of male and female gametes, that is taking place in the sexual reproduction, and that causes the hybridization. This also forms the new combination of genes that results in the variations. So these are the sources of variations. So understood, children? Now the theory of mutation and all these parts now we will do in the next part. So today you go through these terms: natural selection, industrial melanism, adaptive radiation, somatic variation, germinal variation, mutation, gene recombination, and all the examples of the natural selections we have studied. read it from the book and revise.